Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another question of the week. This time asked by Optimal Zeta Edits. What happened to all of Zeon's one-year war ace pilots? Hey, Editor Kakarot here. When the video was almost done, I realized that I misread the question. Optimal Zeta Edits was actually asking what happened to their mobile suits, which we know a lot less about, so back to Zeon's one-year war aces and what they did after the war. And, well, because it would be a little bit too much to talk about literally all of them, I decided to focus just on the top 8 of them. Some of them we know a lot about, but others not so much, at least not at the time of recording, because of course, Gundam is an ever-evolving franchise, and for some of the pilots we'll be talking about today, we relatively recently still got some brand new lore. I love this book. What I also love is NordVPN, the premier VPN service that lets you dodge all of those pesky region locks and also gives you some extra protection while browsing online. And if you don't have Nord yet, by using the link down below or the code kkrt, you'll not just get a sweet discount, but you'll also be supporting the channel. But so, first up, with 193 mobile suit kills and 8 ship kills, we have Breniss Ox, nicknamed the one-shot killer because of his extreme accuracy, which apparently was due to the fact that he just really hated wasting ammo. And for most of the war, he was fighting on the front lines, which explains why he got such an impressive kill count. But as the situation began to worsen for Zeon, he was pulled back from the front lines and was instead assigned as a mobile suit instructor. The reasoning behind this was that they were afraid that losing their top ace would deal such an incredible blow to whatever morale was still remaining in the Zeon army that it would just completely cripple the morale. So instead of risking this happening, they wanted him away from the front lines as much as possible. And thanks to this, he did survive the one-year war. As for what he did after the war, we just know that he was highly regarded by the Federation, and that he was mentioned in the textbooks of the Federation Military Academy, alongside other famous aces like Amuro Ray and Anavel Gato. Personally, I like to think that he remained a combat instructor for the Republic of Zeon, but again, we just don't know. And unfortunately, we know even less about Zeon's number 2 ace, Nordit Bauer. He managed to shoot down 191 mobile suits and 4 ships, but despite these incredible numbers, we just know that he supported the Cyclops team with their infiltration mission into Site 6, and that he then participated in the Battle of Solomon. The end. We don't even know if he survived the war or not. That's how little that we know about him. The only other thing is that we know that he used a Zaku-2 S-type, a Zaku cannon, a Zaku-2 high mobility type, and a Rigdom 2. So since he used the Zaku cannon, he was probably on Earth at some point as well. Zeon's number 3 ace then is the complete opposite. Johnny Ridden. He shot down 185 mobile suits and 6 ships, and earned himself the nickname Crimson Lightning for his exploits. Although, much to his chagrin, he would often be mistaken for the Red Comet instead. But so, Johnny Ridden was an extremely skilled pilot who fought from pretty much the beginning of the war all the way up to the Battle of Abawa-Ku, where he would then go quote-unquote missing. Officially, he was listed as killed in action by Zeon and posthumously promoted, and that is where the lore from the original MSV book ends. He went missing, got promoted, and that was that. But Johnny Ridden proved to be an extremely popular character, so a lot of stories were made about what supposedly happened after he went missing. But the thing here is, all of these stories are so widely different that it is impossible for all of them to be true. It's even impossible for them to be slightly true. That's how different they are. For example, in the Brave Soldiers of the Sky, he does actually vanish at the end of the war. In Jupiter Mirage, he continues to fight against the Federation even after the war. In episode 9 of Gundam Evolve, we get a Red Zeta Gundam that was supposedly originally meant to be piloted by Johnny Ridden, suggesting that he might have joined the AUG at some point, but then in the end he doesn't actually pilot the mobile suit, so we don't know what happened there. And in MSV Senki Johnny Ridden, he just pretended to be killed so that he could go back to living a normal, quiet civilian life under a different name. And all of these different stories were then brought together in the MSVR The Return of Johnny Ridden manga. They actually went kinda meta here because the story focuses on finding out what really happened to Johnny Ridden after the 1 Year War. And all of those different stories from manga and video games become rumors that someone was actually spreading in the Universal Century, which is a really cool way of looking at it. And the main character of the manga is Led Wayline, someone with amnesia who may or may not be the real Johnny Ridden. So, if you want to find out what happened to Johnny Ridden, I would suggest checking out this manga. It might not be officially available in English, but I'm sure you can find it. And while you're at it, you might also want to track down the plot to assassinate Giran Zabi, because that is where Eric Manthfield appeared in. He was Zeon's number 4 ace with 156 mobile suit kills and 3 ship kills, and his most famous machine was a Zaku-2 high mobility type R1A with a very unique antenna, which is probably what most people know him for, if they know him at all. As for what he did after the war though, it's another mystery, but maybe it's best if it stays that way, because the thing is, he was the commander of Giran's Imperial Guard, and, if we were to draw parallels to World War II, yeah, Zeon's number 5 ace was Shin Matsunaga, nicknamed the White Wolf of Solomon. He scored 141 mobile suit kills and 6 ship kills, and is another one of Zeon's more famous aces. Just like Johnny Ridden, he's appeared in many manga and video games, which have had different takes on his story. Some of which are more plausible than others, and some of which just straight up contradict each other. So, the main original story is that Matsunaga was stationed at Solomon, but before the actual Battle of Solomon began, he got called back to Site 3, where he would then sit out the rest of the war. The end. And the Ace Pilot Story manga is the first one to build upon this framework. Here, he would be summoned back to Site 3 to receive a brand new mobile suit, which can then be interpreted to be the Gelgook Jaeger that later sources also claimed that he piloted. But there would also be some very different theories behind his summons to Site 3. According to the Shin Matsunaga of the Rainbow manga, it was actually a secret mission from Dozle to request reinforcements directly from Degwin Zabi himself. And then according to the Brave Soldiers in the Sky manga, it was actually a plot to assassinate Shin Matsunaga because he wasn't completely on board with what Giran was doing. But he did fortunately survive this assassination attempt. But we also have a few outliers, like for example, the Nightmare of Solomon event from UC Engage, or his What If story from Gundam Encounters in Space. Here, Matsunaga is still summoned to Site 3, but he ignores this command and fights in the Battle of Solomon anyways, directly contradicting the original MSV setting. After Dozle then falls in battle, he withdraws from Solomon to live on and fight another day, perhaps at the Battle of Abawaku in a white-collared Gelgook Jaeger. What is for certain though, is that he did survive the war. And according to the Manual of the Master Grade Zaku-2 High Mobility Type R1A Shin Matsunaga Custom version 2.0, he would settle down in Site 3, where he was originally from, and would help out with the post-war reconstruction efforts. So here it sounds like he had quite a peaceful retirement. But according to Gundam Evolve, he might have joined the AUG at some point, because in the series we see a Yellow Zeta Gundam, nicknamed Grey Zeta, piloted by someone with the codename Grey Wolf. This unnamed pilot used a white wolf as his personal emblem, similar to Matsunaga. He looked similar to Matsunaga, and was even said to be a famous Zeon ace from the 1 Year War. Again, just like Matsunaga. Unfortunately though, this unnamed pilot would sacrifice himself in battle. Zeon's number 6 ace pilot then was Gabby Hazard. He shot down 138 mobile suits and 2 ships, and was the pilot of a legendary Zaku 2 high mobility type R2. A high-performance Zaku of which only 4 existed. One was used for testing, one was used by Johnny Ridden, which we already talked about, and then the other one was used by Robert Gilliam, who we'll talk about in a second. But first, Gabby. He was considered to be extremely skilled with the bazooka, and would often use it in hit-and-run tactics against Federation ships, something that his R2 was of course perfectly suited for. I will point out though that this does kinda clash with his official kill count, because for someone described as being like great at anti-ship combat, it is a bit weird that he shot down only 2 ships, which by the way is also like the lowest ship kill count of all of the top 8 aces from Zeon. So let's just say that he let his wingman claim those kills, which by the way is something that we do see occurring with another Zeon ace. Breniss Ox was officially known for letting his wingman claim his kills, so we do have some precedent for this explanation. And despite letting his wingman claim kills of his, he still was Zeon's number 1 ace. Like, Breniss Ox was quite the pilot indeed. But back to Gabby now. At the end of the war, him and his Zaku would fight at the Battle of Bawaku, after which he was never seen again. Officially, he was declared killed in action on account of several eyewitness testimonies confirming that a brown R-type Zaku was shot down by a Federation warship. But the validity of these testimonies has been brought into question, because here's the thing. While it was true that Gabby Zaku was the only brown R2 flying around, there were several other brown R1s flying around. So even if a brown R-type Zaku was shot down, it didn't necessarily have to be Gabby's Zaku that was shot down. And so then because of this, my favorite book here, the MSV Ace Pilot Log, claims that there is of course a distinct possibility that Gabby survived a Bawaku and then either escaped to Axis or joined up with the Lost Fleet. So there is a chance that in the future, Gabby will get more post 1 Year War backstory. Next up then, we have Robert Gilliam, the other Zaku 2 high mobility type R2 ace and Zeon's number 7 overall ace, with 115 mobile suit and 6 ship kills. Unfortunately though, we don't know what he was up to after the war, but we can make some educated guesses based on his characterization in various other media. Throughout all of them, he's depicted as a Zeon hardliner, fervently believing in the cause, and in the Shin Matsunaga of the Rainbow manga, he's a member of Giren's personal guard. So yeah, if this guy doesn't join up one of the many Zeon remnant groups, I don't know who would. If he wasn't apprehended by the Federation first, because, you know, World War II parallels and whatnot. And finally then, Zeon's number 8 ace was Greniss Escott, with 103 mobile suit and 12 ship kills, making him the pilot with the most ship kills that we know about, be it Federation or Zeon. As for his history, we unfortunately don't know too much about him. He used a Zaku 2 S-type and a Big Row, and that is literally everything that we know about him. Like, he does appear in the Gundam side story, Space to the End of a Flash manga, but only in the if portion of the manga, which is the non-canonical happy ending of the manga, so that doesn't really count. But despite being the happy ending for the manga, It's not a happy ending for Greniss because Gundam Unit 4 and Unit 5 worked together to shoot him and his big bro down during the Battle of Abawaku, killing him in the process. The end. But while that was everything for Zeon's top 8 aces, there is one more ace that I quickly want to talk about. Ian Graden, and even if that name doesn't sound familiar, I'm sure you've seen his machine, the Zaku Cannon Twin Antenna type, also known as the Rabbit type. This was a rarer version of the Zaku Cannon, and I guess it also had like better communication capabilities because of that different antenna. As for Ian himself then, he would participate in the capture of California Base, after which he would be assigned to defend it. And defend he did, until the Federation would eventually recapture it in the waning days of the One-Year War. As a highly regarded ace pilot then, Graden was offered the chance to escape back into space on board one of California Base's HLVs, but he refused. He believed that if he left the battlefield, the front would completely collapse, spelling disaster for both his men and the other Zeon soldiers still on the ground. So instead, he began a fighting retreat towards Cape Canaveral, hoping that there would be other HLVs there where they could all escape. But while they did manage to reach the base, there were either no or not enough HLVs there. Not that it would have mattered anyways. During the battle for Cape Canaveral, Graden received word that the war had ended, and he decided to lay down his weapons. Above anything else, he just wanted the men under his command to be safe. Although the details are lacking then, he was imprisoned by the Federation and tried for unspecified charges. When faced with these charges, Graden remained silent and was ready to accept whatever punishment was handed down upon him. But thanks to his lawyer, he was acquitted on all of those charges and was allowed to return to the Republic of Zeon in October of UC 0080. In total, he had shot down 34 aircraft, 71 vehicles, and 2 mobile suits. Although, according to eyewitness reports, he downed at least 8 mobile suits, more than qualifying him to be a mobile suit ace as well. And well, that has been all for the fates of Zeon's top aces. Although, like I said in the beginning, there's always a chance for them to get more lore in the future. If you have a question you want me to answer in a future question of the week video, you can leave it down below. Don't forget to check out NordVPN with link in the description or the code kkrt. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great evening, and I'll see you all next time.